So I would like request you all to please join me today to welcome Sakina ma'am, Sakina Kazim ma'am. She's principal for Orchids International School, Panatur branch. And she has 20 years of versatile experience in the field of education, not only in India, but also abroad. She was also in, if I'm not wrong, it was Africa, Botswana, right, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
There for
yes. So
3 years.
with her years of experience and the kind of a class she carries for herself, she has got a recognition from Smriti Irani for the 10th grade results that the school had given. Then thrice in a row, she has got bagged the best school award in the three Assam Rifle unit, and that's why she was recognized for her work and efforts. And not to forget that in her school, the children have always come scored good result in SOF, and that's why she has got uh, recognition at the district level twice in a row. So, ma'am, it's welcome to the show, and we know you as a very, very humble person, and I know you personally from past 5 years, and nobody else could have taken this particular session about life skills for the teacher better than you. The way you connect with people is something that one must learn from you. So, welcome, ma'am, to our show today, Wednesday Wisdom and Saturday Skills series. It's an honor to have you today on our show. Before I hand over the stage to you, I would just like to add a few things for all the audience out over there. That if you have any question and answers in between the session, please put them in the question and answer box. Where do you find this question and answer? Down there's a ribbon that's running over there. It is written Q&A. Please mention any questions you have at any point of time in that, so that we can take it up at the same time. If you have any further, there'll be a lot of interaction that we will keep doing throughout the session. Those responses, please put them in the chat box, so that we know you are with us, and we can communicate better with you. And please, a request, stay with us till the end. At the end, there's an assessment with which there's a certificate attached. So also that will also give us let us know whether you were there with us or not. Okay, a test for us as teachers. Okay, so before I hand over the stage to ma'am, just in case if you have missed any part or want to revisit this particular concept again, please follow us on the social medias. We have all these sessions recorded on the social media. I am posting that in the chat box. You can click on and follow us so that you don't miss anything. Thank you so much, all of you all. And once again, join me. Let's join us hands together to welcome Sakina ma'am. Sakina ma'am, the stage is all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shilpi, for that warm welcome. And it's pleasure to be part of this learning series. And when Shilpi approached me for this, this presentation, I kept thinking what topic should I select. I was working on a project of life skills for students, so I thought it's better to start with the same topic for teachers before we filter down those skills to our students. So that was the
So we
reason.
were lucky, ma'am, to have you.
So let's without wasting time, we'll just
Yes,
begin.
yes.
I'll begin my presentation. So I'm sure all of you. Hello, is the screen
Yes,
shared?
ma'am. Screen is clear. You are audible.
Yeah. So I'm sure all of you, but I'm not able to see the. Yeah, now presentation is visible.
No, ma'am, not now. It
Yeah,
was visible just a minute before.
yeah. Just a minute.
Yeah, no issues.
Yeah, now it is visible.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
All right. So, without wasting time, we'll begin. When we talk about life skills for teachers, The most, I mean, there are a lot of questions. What exactly is the term life skill and how it is going to help teachers? So, I would just like to give an overview about what we are going to cover in this webinar today. First of all, we will try to understand what are the life skills that is essential for teachers. Second thing is that we would just be talking about how as teachers you can gain confidence while developing these skills and how these skills are going to be useful to you as teachers. And second thing, we'll also understand about the global skills that are required to make any individual successful in life. And just simply getting a degree and knowledge is not enough, and it doesn't contribute to one's success. So and how what is the gap between that knowledge and the skill required to be a competent and to be a professional individual? We will try to see that gap and how these life skills can be a bridge between that gap. Life skills also talk about internal happiness and well-being of individual, and there are a variety of skills, I mean, in terms of personal, in terms of professional development. But since I have a limitation of time here, so I'll just focus on the four skills today. We'll first start with the poll. Hello.
Do we have the poll, Rahul?
Uh, I'm not able to see the screen. I don't know. Yeah, the poll is visible now, huh?
Yes, yes. Okay, come on, all the teachers out over there, be a little faster. It's one question only.
So there are four things which are listed here, and when it comes to work, we just want an opinion of individuals here to find out which is the most important factor.
So I think, ma'am, most of them have rated. Let's share the poll with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so these are the result that most of them have rated. So they say that your qualification and experience, 55% of the people have said that is important, and then comes your personality and character, followed by soft skill. Very few of them have said, only 1%, that your network.
Yeah, so, but according to the study, we find that we require a combination of all four in order to be successful. It's just not enough that you need your basic qualification and experience. Your soft skills, I mean, life skill becomes a part of your soft skills also, your personality, your character, your attitude towards work. And also, when you start working in an organization, you tend to develop a certain network and sort of a certain relationship among your working individuals. So I mean, I think it's a combination of all four which is required. But somewhere down the line, people have rated more on education and qualification, and education and qualification is just to get you, it's just for you to start your career. Once you have the degree in hand, you are ready to start your career. But in order to be successful in life, you need the other three things equally. I mean, they are equally important for you. So now moving on. When we talk about 21st century qualities, I mean, I have listed out few of them here: being adaptable, being able to manage your self-direction, making decisions rapidly and quickly, managing complexity related to your work, showing commitment and loyalty towards organization, being curious, being creative, taking risk, and being accountable, responsible, having a collaborative and team building attitude towards work, and being enthusiastic to take up any challenges. but this list is not very a detailed list, neither it is very conclusive list. There are other things associated with it. So I just want all of you to reflect on this and let me know which quality is missing in this list, which skill and which quality you find it is not covered here. You can use your chat box to answer that. So are we able to get the answers in the chat box? Yeah, we would just
No,
like to.
not yet, ma'am. They are still, yeah. Now they have started coming, ma'am. So most of the questions are saying focus, dynamic, soft skill, work-life balance, be patient, leadership, be focus, communication skills, connection with our fellows, then focus and redirecting, articulation, anger management, active. I think most of them are onto leadership that they are coming, and interpersonal communication, patience and focus.
All right. So I think one important skill that most of us has missed is the ability to focus. This is one thing which we are now facing in this technology-driven culture, where we are losing the ability to focus. And when we talk about focus, it is about listening to people, being aware of what is happening around us, and being physically, mentally present in the situation and the point in a given point of time. So I mean there are number of distraction. Even when we are attending classes, there would be phone calls. We would be constantly checking our WhatsApp group or checking logging on to a mail, checking. So I mean there is a bundle of distractions around us, and we tend to focus lose our ability to focus. And when we lose our ability to focus, somewhere down the line efficiency also gets compromised. So I would like all of you to focus a little more. I mean, not only on this webinar, but also develop the ability to focus, not to be surrounded by the noise around us. So that's one skill, which is, see, these are the life skills which are, I mean, sometimes we tend to just forget about them. Now, moving about the education, we usually a child starts getting formal education at the age of 6, and it continues till the age of 20 24 till the person acquires a master's degree. But do you think education is limited to this period of time, or do you think that education is a continuous process? If you people can just answer a few of them on the chat box, because I'm not able to.
Yes, just a second, ma'am. Let's let them give some time to write. It's a continuous process. Most of them are
Yes.
answering.
Yes. So it's a never ending continuous
Yes.
process, as most of you have said. Yeah, this is, and it is what is required even at professional level. So we should not, the moment we stop learning, we stop growing, is what it is said. So we need to continue with our education throughout the life. That's the reason I have taken study skills also as part of this life skills. Then talking about an ideal profile to make you successful, it is a combination of skills, knowledge, and behavior. Knowledge, we have already said that the previous slide I covered the education, the qualification, and the degree that you have in order to become successful is the knowledge that you have. Then skills is you acquire over a period of time. Skill is nothing but the application of the knowledge that you have acquired through your learning process. Now once you have the skills and the knowledge, then you need to have the right attitude and behavior. There is a marginal difference between attitude and behavior. I mean, those of you who are from psychology would understand it better. Attitude is basically a strong feeling about a particular person or a situation or about a thing, and behavior is the action that we have towards that attitude. Suppose if I may have an attitude that I don't like a person, so I don't like a person is my attitude towards that person. But the next time when I see the person, I turn my face away. So that is a reflection of my attitude in my behavior. So attitude, behavior, knowledge, and skill all make a complete profile of an individual, and that is the kind of individual who is required to work in an organization. That are the type of individual organization is looking at. So we need to have a combination of all three. Then this is a little bit of statistics here. It shows that 40, sorry, we'll just go back. So this statistics shows that 40% of people are at very high speed for most of our working life. I think we also can consider ourselves in this category. Either we are working at a very high speed, or maybe we fall under the second category, which is 60%, that we work under tremendous pressure, and we are there to just meet the deadlines and working and continue working for most part of our day. There is a constant fear of losing our jobs. And the fourth important thing that statistics shows is that we are slaves to the technology. I mean, without that, it was not possible to carry on with our work. So based on this statistics, we require certain skills.
Ma'am, can we have your camera? Is it there a network issue?
No, no, I don't know how it got switched off.
Yeah, so that's why I thought I'd remind you.
Yeah, let me just check. Yeah. So, so yeah. So what? So I would be covering only these four study skills. These four life skills. One is the study skill. The second is the self awareness. Then creativity and getting organized. uh, Now we'll talk about the goals that you need to set for yourself. Some goals could be, professional goals, some could be your personal goals, and there are difference between personal and professional goals. Personal goals would be, it could be your better time management at home and taking care of your kids, handling your teenage son, uh, and there could be plenty of things which at personal level we would like to achieve in our in our during our working life. Professional goals are strictly related to your efficiency and effectiveness, and how you can become more efficient in the system that you are working, how you can manage your time at work, and how you can be more productive. So, setting goals and having understanding about both personal and professional goal is equally important. Then whenever we talk about professional and personal goals, we need to understand that when we set our goals, we need to manage our time well, and at the same time we need to balance our work life. Because otherwise what happens, we land up in a very chaotic situation. Neither we are able to concentrate at home, nor we can give our 100% at work. So the goal setting, whatever we want to achieve at the end of the year, I won't say that you should set a target for 5 years, what I would like to be at professional level. But a small term goals also for 6 months or a year should be managed based on the availability of time that we have, and the balance that we can have at work and at home. Then talking about We'll move to the first skill, the study skills. Why study skills are important? I'm sure most of you are teachers. You are going through the lesson plans and to make your class more effective. But we would like to see how many of you have, on your own, taken up anything that you have studied, and anything that you have read in recent past, or any TED talk that you have heard, or any motivational video that you have seen or read in last 4 weeks to enhance your teaching, classroom teaching. This is just specifically related to your professional life, that is classroom teaching. How many of you have done, taken given it a serious thought? We're not just talking about the lesson plan that we give,
Yeah.
that I'm sure
So
most.
the question is very, very clear. Ma'am wants to know what professional development have you done for your own self in past 4 weeks. So let's have your answers in your chat box. I hope everyone understands professional development as a teacher. So yeah, that was an honest answer by one of the teacher.
Nothing,
Okay,
watching videos.
nothing, none. Some have said that watching communication skill, none at all. Actually, none. So means everyone is agreeing to it. Some has said that online games related to the sessions to make classroom interesting, but most of them are saying none.
Yes. So I mean, this is yeah, TED talks for a Harvard free.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. One or two in between. I think with the number of participants, we have around 200 participants. Out of 200 people, if you say see that only three or four doing something, it's the number is very less. The percentage is very less. Not
yes.
even, yeah.
So, I mean, study skills are very important for teachers. Don't restrict yourself to lesson plan. I mean, as a teacher, you know your capability, you know your weaknesses, and you know how well you have to manage your students, how well you have to brush up the technical knowledge, and you need to be in constant touch with your textbooks or with the curriculum or with anything extra that could make your classroom more effective. So study skills are very important for you to become more successful and to become a better teacher. I mean, as the saying says, read more and learn more. The more you learn, better you would be. I mean, learning is one thing which should never stop. Of course, we have to find time to learn, but nevertheless, whenever you get time, at least watch a video or some information, read a newspaper, update yourself with the current thing happening around you. So, why study skills are important? Because effective study skills lead to self improvement. Unless you improve yourself, you will not be able to transact that in your classroom. So, it will be the more knowledge, the more you are equipped, it is going to definitely reflect in your teaching and in your classroom. Update yourself with the subject area, which is very important, whether you're a maths teacher, language teacher, dance teacher. Just keep checking. There's a lot of content available now with the technology around us. We can update ourselves just by going through the content which is available. And also, according to the new education policy, which says that 50 hours of self development is essential for all teachers in a year. So I mean, that is a minimum requirement that a teacher needs to devote at least 50 hours in a year to develop themselves, attend workshops, attend seminars, read content, go through the textual books. So I mean, that is very important. And also, as teachers, you need to understand how to manage your information. There is too much of information around us. We need to have filters at our levels to take whatever is relevant for our classroom teaching and what is relevant for our professional growth, and manage it and use it in our classrooms. So study skills teachers, it's a really important skill, and as teachers you need to work and you need to develop. I'm sure you are aware of it. This presentation is just, we will just be revisiting of the few things that you are aware of it, and how
Exactly.
you should use them in your classroom. The foundational base. Now we will be talking about the second life skill, which is
So,
the
ma'am, just one question that, which teachers generally ask over here, that, ma'am, where is the time that, that we don't have time for ourselves? Uh, how do you answer to that, ma'am?
sorry. My success.
So there is, like, most of the moment you said, we all are aware that we have to do a self study for us, our own self. So where is the time, is what most of the teachers generally say, that, ma'am, where do we get time to study? So
Yeah.
what answer do you have for them, ma'am?
Yeah, like for example, I would just like to give an example of myself also. Like at the end of the day, I mean, before I sleep, I have to read something. I mean, that is one habit which I have it, and my husband has it. I mean, both of us have to read something. He would read a book. I would prefer something on electronic. So I have to go through what has happened in the throughout the day. I go through the news, and I have certain subscriptions of certain websites and certain. So I keep getting those notification. So I, not more than half an hour I spend on reading. So I mean, that's good enough to be aware of what is happening around. So if you
Very
can
true.
devote less than
Yeah.
half an hour also, it's good enough. 15 minutes to see what is happening around the world news, and 15 minutes to just read an article or watch a video, or see something which is motivational, which will enhance our knowledge.
So
So
basically, actually, it is said, right, that first 20 minutes devote to your body, do some exercise, next 20-minute plan, and last 20 minutes of your day read something,
yeah,
learn something before
yes,
you
yes.
sleep.
Before
Yeah.
you go to bed, at least 10-15 minutes, if you make it as a habit, I think that's good enough. And you get a peaceful sleep also, I feel. If I read something
20
nice,
plus 20 plus 20 formula for the survival.
for
Yeah,
this,
best. Let's go ahead, ma'am. Yeah.
so next skill that we'll be talking about would be self-awareness. So there's a small video which I would like all of you to hear and go through it. The foundational base of my success, of my well-being, my wholeness, my everything is knowing who I am and where I come from.
if there's one skill set people can develop, it's really enhancing their ability to understand themselves, given all the change in the world around them. They need to understand, is the world changing around me? Am I changing? Or can I not tell the difference between the two? And understanding those differences, understanding who you are within this world that's changing so fast is so key. The world's actually moving so fast now that it's mathematically impossible to know what the right answer is. So even if you were the smartest person in the world, you wouldn't be able to know what the world is bringing up. And so as a result, it's not about making the right choice. It's about after you make whatever choice and the world changes, how do you adjust? How do you change your trajectory? So if the first problem is choice, the second problem is life leadership. Choice brings with it the need to lead your life. And so many people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to see a target on the horizon that nobody else can see. They don't know how to change the path they're on to now point at that new target and get out there given all the demands that are in their world. So those two problems, choice and life leadership, are really getting in the way of people's success.
So when we talk about self-awareness, it's basically the ability to understand yourself. And this video projects that since so things around us are moving so fast because of technological changes, we don't even know whether the world is around us is changing or are we changing around with this world. So how do we adjust ourselves with this so many changes around us? So I mean, the video talks about two things. The first thing it says is that we need to uh, decide and make right choices. And suppose whatever choices we have made, but things around us change, and how do we adjust ourselves, how do we work on our self leadership, how do we lead ourselves when things don't happen the way we have planned or the way the choices that we have made. So I mean, that's very important. I mean, to select the to make right choices and also to guide yourself in the world which is constantly changing. So self awareness is very important. When we talk in terms of students, we also would like to teach us to understand and introspect and know about themselves. So when we talk about teachers, we will be covering here three aspects. One would be the what strategies do you use to influence your students? Are you aware of yourself and the type of teaching style or the teaching strategy that you're using in your classroom? And second thing is that when as a teacher, I mean, it cannot happen that all classes that you have taken in a day, all of them have gone well. There are times that we would, we'll feel end of the class that we have not done so well. And there are times when we feel, we were well prepared and everything went on as we planned. And the third thing is that how we can boost our confidence and overcome these kind of issues that we face in our classroom. So now talking about self awareness, about the type of teaching style that you have, we have put them into four categories. I have put them into four categories. The first teaching style, uh, and this is just, yeah. So the first teaching style is the formal authority. The formal authority style is basically a teacher centric approach. I mean, most of you, we tend to follow the teacher centric approach, especially the ones who are dealing with the students of senior grades, and where a teacher would like to dictate all the terms and condition. There is less of team relationship building with students. It almost sounds like a university lecture, and students always see as a teacher as a just a medium or a fountain who is just oozing knowledge and nothing more than that. So I mean, we need to understand that the individuals who are just sitting in front of us would also like to have more interaction and would like to build a relationship before they start hearing your lectures. So the second type of the teaching style is a demonstrator, where students perceive teacher as a role model or as a guide or as a coach, somebody who encourages student participation in class, somebody who is able to adapt themselves as per the learning styles of the students. I mean, if you feel that the students in this class are weak in mathematics, you would go slow. You understand the learning difficulties the students are facing, the batch of students facing, or the majority of the students facing in that particular class. You try to reform yourself and adjust to the needs of the students. And gradually you encourage students to take the responsibility of learning on themselves. And then we have another type of teaching style, which is a facilitator who is more like a trainer. And it is a teacher who focuses a lot on activities happening in the class, has a very student centric approach, encourages independent learning and reflections by students, and has a collaborative learning environment in the classroom. And then the last one we have as a delegator is somebody who tries to delegate the entire responsibility of teaching onto the class. Who will come, assign work, tomorrow you're going to present, next day you're going to present, who will do this, who will do that. So somebody who delegates. But the good point about a delegator is that in this type of a teacher would encourage group work, would have a project work approach, assign a lot of projects to the students, use flipped classroom methodology in teaching. So as a teacher, you need to be aware of what type of teaching style you fall into, which category you fall into, but you cannot remain in that category. It all depends upon the needs and requirement of the students. You need to have a blend of all this, and you need to move from one style to the other. And then talking about the classes that didn't go well. Now, the second part of the self-awareness is that suppose the classes didn't go well. So, I mean, we have a habit of, being overcritical or criticizing ourselves, punishing ourselves and being too harsh on ourselves. I mean, it's okay. Just relax. It cannot happen that all our sessions would go well. Try to understand as much as you can what went wrong in that classroom and what went good in the previous classroom. Try to analyze, was it just because of the students, was it because of my lack of preparation, was it because of my lack of interaction, was it a time constraint? I mean, what was the exact reason, and try to overcome that reason. And don't waste your whole nights thinking about it. I mean, that's the worst kind of punishment one could give. When I was a teacher, I used to do a lot of it, and there were a number of times our classes would not go as we have planned, but it's fine. It's just one of those days. So, and the third thing that I would like to cover here is how we can boost our confidence. So suppose you felt or your observer pointed out that there are 4 5 things that you are lagging behind. So it's always better to take up one thing at a time and work. Set a single goal. You feel that your board work was very poor, you made few spelling errors, and you don't know how the students would have felt about that thing, a teacher making a spelling error on board. So I mean, try to prepare yourself and try to work on it. So take one thing at a time which you felt was requires most attention. I mean, it is not possible that we can improve all our skills and all our capabilities in one day. So gradually take one thing and work on it, and then gradually you can add. Then you can make a list of things that qualifies as a thing as a teacher, or a list of things that needs improvement, and gradually one at a time you can move. Then think about your body language, because as I said, teaching is about 50% of the content, but 50% is also the delivery involves the body language, the connect that we have with the students. So try to work on that. A lot of communication and a lot of information transmission happens through our body. So our body language is equally important. Try to work on that. Maybe that is also one of the reasons that your class didn't go well. And finally, I would like to say, eat healthy, sleep well, and exercise well, so that you can stay fit and you are able to take up the stress of the teaching. Now, talking about the third skill, we will be talking about creativity. Now, creativity is always misunderstood. People say that I'm not creative. I don't know how to do a drawing. I don't know how to paint. I don't know how to, set up my beautiful house. Some people, my husband always criticizes that you are very poor in creativity. So I used to always feel myself, that I don't have that ability to, set my house, put this thing here or place this memento here or a decoration piece. That I have a very poor sense of doing that. But later on, I realized creativity is not only about the artistic skills that individual has. It is about the ability to solve problems. It is ability to think differently. It is ability to come up with a solution which nobody has even thought of. That is creativity. Creativity is innovating things. It's not just an artistic skill. So I would like to narrate a short story. It's on lateral thinking. So the story goes like here. There is a rich, we can say there's a king who has a daughter, and she's the only daughter, and he is very possessive about that daughter. But unfortunately, that daughter is in love with a very common man, and she wants to get married. And finally, they are not able to come to any conclusion that what would the father would decide, whether he would agree to her daughter's decision or would go by his. But daughter is also equally adamant. So what he decides is, he says that, okay, we'll play a game, and if you win, you get to choose the person of your choice. But if I win, I get to choose the groom for you. So what he does is, he takes out two marbles. One is black in color and one is white in color. And he takes out those two marbles, and he says that, if I'll place them in a bag, and you have to pick one marble. If you pick a black one, you lose. And if you pick a white one, you win. So daughter agrees that since it's a 50% chance, the probability of winning and losing is 50%, it's fine. She agrees to that. Now what happens? This king is very smart. I would say very shrewd. While putting marbles in the bag, he puts both the marbles black in color. And now the daughter sees him doing that. Now he cannot even tell his dad that you are cheating. And since he's a king, and she cannot openly point out that. So she is left with no option. She knows that both the marbles in the bag are black in color. Whichever she's going to pick, she's going to unfortunately lose. Now she puts her hand in the bag, pulls out one marble, and she drops it on the floor. Now on the floor, there are plenty of marbles, and it gets mixed up. So now the father gets a little angry. He said, "What have you done? Now how would I know which one you picked? Because there are so many, and all the marbles have got mixed." So she says that, "We have one left in the bag. We will check the one which is in the bag and decide which one I had picked." So now, the only the color which is left in the bag is black. So she says, now when they check the bag, it is black. And she says, that means that I picked up the white one. So that's an example of lateral thinking. So a situation where there is a possibility of not winning, all doors closed, no probable solution. I mean, the daughter thinks out of the box and comes with a solution. Now, the father also cannot say that I had put both marbles black. He has to eventually say, yeah, you win, because the only black one is left in the bag. So that is creativity. It has nothing to do with artistic endeavors. So that's what the point that I wanted to make it here. So creativity is about trying new things. So creativity for teachers here, we can say that it's not only making beautiful board work or decorating your door or making beautiful, teaching aids. It's about little changes that you make in your classroom teaching, which will enhance your productivity in the class. It's all about that. Little changes. What changes have you made? That is creativity. It's not only about artistic skills. And understanding why we make change. We make a lot of change because of the feedback that we receive from our superiors, feedback that we get from our peers, feedback from students. So we cannot remain like that forever. I mean, once we have gone through the lesson plan, we the same lesson plan, if we have to do it again, we will tend to make it a little more different and add a little more element, a little more zinc in that classroom teaching. So we need to be creative enough to try out new things. And when we are trying out new things, what happens is there's a chance that maybe it didn't work out well. We should be ready to take those criticism positively. I mean, it's fine. We need to uh, at least we are better than those who have not tried anything new. It's better to try and fail rather than trying not trying at all. So we should be prepared to take up any kind of criticism associated with the creativity. And since creativity is now linked with technology and we are dealing with online classes, you can use, I think we have already done a workshop where teachers can use a lot of emojis and a lot of other techniques in making their class more interesting. So I would also like to point out to that thing, that adapt yourself to technology. We cannot say that I cannot learn anything. You will have to learn, because that is, technology is going to stay here. We have to change ourselves and suit ourselves to the technological advancement. So adaptability to the technology and creativity, a small creativity used in the classroom would make a lot of difference. The benefits, it is because responsive to the needs of the students. I mean, I what when I started interacting with teachers, I got to know in my pre-primary section, because all the letters, when they were introduced in the classroom, they had the similar pattern. So students were gradually losing interest. A was introduced in the same way, letter B was introduced in the same way, a similar kind of video was shown, or a sound cracker was played. So then I started asking my teachers, we need to do a lot in the class, start using teaching aids. So that brought that spark in the class. And parents also felt, yeah, my child is now developing a little bit more interest in the class, because every time he looks forward what new a teacher is going to bring, even in the online class. So
Very
I mean,
true, ma'am. We cannot we everyone wants change.
yeah, everyone wants change. We don't want this similar 10 minutes of lecture and then a video and then a quiz. Something new you people should keep adding in your classroom, apart from what is given in the lesson plan, because the students need that kind of change. And also when we start making changes, small changes, continuing to change leads to improvement in ourselves, leads to improvement in our class work. So these are the benefits. I've just penned down few because there's a time constraint. So, and here, how to use creativity: think out of the box, be open to any kind of idea that floats around you, try to use those ideas, celebrate your failures. Even if you fail, if it doesn't work out, it's fine. Then stretching out from your comfort zone is also equally important. We get used to one kind of a system, we get used to one style of teaching. We need to stretch ourselves and make our comfort zone wider and bigger and larger. So try doing that and be spontaneous. There is a possibility that something clicks, some idea clicks in your mind, and you can just use it in your classroom. There's always a constant fear there when we try new things. So conquer that fear and do it. So creativity is very important even in teaching, because otherwise teaching job and becomes very monotonous. Then there's a small story here. I would just like, there's a story about creativity, so we'll just go through this.
And you have to read this out.
Yeah, please. So, as it is said that creativity grows with age, and it is something which needs to keep practicing. When we are young, we are more imaginative, we are more creative. But as we tend to grow old, we get tied up with our work, with the frustration, with our stress, that we start losing our creativity, and we are not able to find unique solutions to our day-to-day problem. So, I mean, let the creativity be there in you and try to use wherever it is possible. Even solving small problems at home, you should use your creativity to do that. So the last skill, and this 10 minutes are left, so we'll just move to the last skill. It is getting organized. I think this is very important, because now we always see teachers complaining that we have classes, we have to do the corrections, and we have to manage our work at home. And how do we organize ourselves, and how do we manage our time better? So first thing is that we should have an understanding about our work. So understanding about our work is that are we meticulously planning too much and spending less time in execution? Some of us are, very good in planning, and we become very rigid when we try to execute. We don't want to change our plan, but we should not be. It's good to plan our things, but we should not be very rigid when it comes to execution, because of the time constraint or because of the resources available. We should have that flexibility to change our approach of execution, and at the same time the results should not be compromised. Second thing is, do we procrastinate? I mean, it's a human nature. Whenever the tasks are assigned, the first 2 3 days we will not even think about. When we are very close to the deadline, we start planning and we start rushing. So I mean, it's very good to understand if we have that habit of procrastination, and if we are aware of it, we should try to overcome it. So understanding our work, understanding the reason why things are not getting organized is very important. Then second thing is to understand what is inside your control. I mean, there are things which is beyond the locus of your control. You need to understand, so there are things which you can control, there are things which are beyond your control. So things which you can control is, you can control yourself, you can manage yourself, you can manage your time, you can organize your activities of the day. But there are things which are beyond your control, and as teachers, things which are beyond your control are your work schedule, your class size, your admin task, your workload, which your coordinators or the management would decide, and they would assign something which you cannot control. So it's better not to waste time thinking of those things which you cannot control. And stop spend your energy, wasting your energy on things which you cannot control. Things which you can control, focus on those things. The thing is the first to start with planning, as I said. So whatever task you need to complete tomorrow, you need to plan a day prior. Your to-do list, maybe in form of your digital, in your phone, you can feed it, or you can do it by writing notes for your next day's plan. I mean, planning should be done in advance. Second is the intention, what you would like to achieve, and what would you like to complete the next day. That intent should also be very clear in your mind. I mean, as I said, that if we are given a list of tasks to complete, we cannot complete all of those things together. We need to set priorities. We need to think of tasks which are important, and attend as the ones which require urgent attention. And then productivity, understanding at what time of the day you are most productive. If you're more productive at the beginning of the day, try to focus your attention to complete the most important task during the period of time when you are most productive. If you feel you're more productive at night, or after everything is over, you have more time to relax your nerves, and then you can think better. Work on those tasks during the time of the day you feel your productivity is maximum. Then there are few tips to organize. I mean, this is one matrix which we can discuss. It's a management matrix, and we have divided them into four quadrants. One is about urgent, not urgent, important, not important. Now, what is the basic difference between important and urgent? Important is something which is related to your goal, something which is related to your work, something which you cannot compromise. Taking class on time, starting your class on time is important. And urgent is something which just comes, it pops up, maybe a phone call, an important phone call, or a mail, or some important thing, but which requires immediate attention, but it is not important because it is not related to your values, it is not related to your goal, or not related to your professional task. So we have to put things in this category. Things which are important and urgent would be crisis or pressing problems, deadlines, projects. Not urgent and important, like prevention, relationship building, like important but not urgent, like developing relationship with your son or spending more time with your family is important, but it is not urgent. And planning any recreational activity at home, or birthday celebration, it's important, but it is not urgent. But a phone call becomes urgent. Then we have non-important activities and urgent activities, some calls, some mails, some reports, which are not that important but will require you are at the middle of your class and get a message that to send this data, and it is required in next 5 minutes. So moment you complete your class, you work on it. So it becomes urgent, but it is not that important. But similarly, we will have some activities which fall under the category of not urgent and not important, like mails, phone calls, time wasters, reading jokes, or pleasant activities or leisure activities. So so if you have a clarity of the tasks and duties that you handle in a day, and you can categorize them in different quadrants, you can manage your time, you can organize yourself better. And then just one more slide is about your class, organizing your class. I think the most important thing, even the training and learning department has always been telling you to set class routine, which I also agree. If you set class routines with your students, how they need to log in, the moment they log in on online class, what are this expected behavior, that they should be ready with the books, textbooks, notebooks, reading material, completed homework. So I mean, if the class routine, I'm just giving an example of online class or in a physical class, if class routines are set, it reduces a lot of stress, and teacher is able to manage her time very effectively. This is very important. Teachers who are in a chaotic situation in a class is just because they are not able to set class routines. Everything, a child needs to be trained and trained, and has to be reinforced time and again, so that they are aware that when this teacher will enter the class, this is how we need to be ready for a class, and this is how we have to ask questions, this is how we have to move out of the class, how we have to make a line. So all little things, routines need to be set. And then second thing is organizing your class. If you develop a positive relationship, students are more receptive to your ideas, more receptive to the instruction that you give to them. So developing positive relationship is equally important. Then also observing and micromanage less. I mean, as a teacher, we have a lot of things to do. We have to teach, we have to focus on our delivery of our content, we have to give clear cut, efficient, the lesson plans, deliver efficient lesson plans. We have to check on understanding. We have to expect students complete their homework and submit on time. So there are a lot of things that a teacher has. One lecture is associated with so many aspects and so many tasks associated with it. So how do we get, how do we develop the efficiency in all those tasks? So we need to observe, we need to set routines and observe how students behave in each of the thing, whether it is your teaching, whether it is your checking for understanding, whether it is the students responsibility of submitting homework on time. We have to set routines for all these three tasks, and then our micromanagement at each level would be reduced. We can just observe, we can see whether things are happening properly, and we don't need to micromanage at each level. But if all these parameters are not set, the set expectations are not clearly communicated to the students, then we tend to struggle and juggle here and there. And then the last thing is about responsibility. I mean, as teachers, we need to be responsible students, responsible individuals, and keep reminding ourselves that, right now in this particular session, in this particular moment, this is what I need to do, and this is what the result is expected of me. So that constant reminder we need to keep giving. If you're attending an online workshop, you need to keep reminding yourself that I'm here to learn, and I have to avoid any form of distraction. If I'm with my students teaching, I have to deliver the efficient and clear cut lecture and guidance to the students. So we have to take responsibility of whatever task we have been assigned. Don't give half-hearted uh, I mean, don't take anything with less of responsibility, and half-hearted attempt would not give you good results, is what I'm trying to communicate. So we would just skip this video. I think we've already covered the Shilpi.
Yeah, I think, ma'am, we can just skip it because it's already
Sorry, huh?
5. Yeah.
Huh? So they just, I just wind up this with
So
this.
when I
Yes,
put an
yes.
assignment out, the students can turn in their digital assignment onto that one
We
place.
can skip this video, ma'am.
Yeah, I skipped. So we just to conclude, I mean, as teachers, you should be aware that you are best placed to teach these skills. These 4 skills that we have taught, I mean, we've discussed. Teachers, you are best placed because you are the ones who have to instill these skills among your students. So never, so we just like to conclude is never stop developing yourself. So focus on your study skills. Read a little bit, even if it is for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just try to find time. Read something interesting, and at the end of the day, you should have the satisfaction that something I have learned today, even if by 3 minutes read or 4 minutes read. And then skill yourself with your qualification and training. If you feel you are lagging in terms of any kind of qualification and training, you need to skill yourself. A lot of online courses, a lot of things are available out there. Then never lose of the fact that the teacher is best placed to enable and felicitate these kind of skills in others. So if we want our next generation to have these skills, we need to have these skills in ourselves first. Study skills, self-awareness, creativity, or getting ourselves organized. I mean, these 4 skills I have just taken, there are many more. But unless we have and we imbibe those skills in ourselves, we cannot hope that the future generation would also have these skills. And
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that. I think we understood that how important it is that life skills have to be incorporated in each one of us. And I think we can end with that last say that you've written: believe in yourself.
yeah, just believe in yourself, be proactive, be willing to take any kind of responsibility, be bold to suggest things, find solutions, and be creative. So that's what I mean. So the more you explore your skills and the more you test yourself, the better you would be able to work. So that's all, and we would just end.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So we are putting the today's quiz and the feedback in the chat box so that some of the teachers have to leave at 5. And with that, I would also like to thank you, take this opportunity to thank you for your time. It was an honor to have you on the over here with us, ma'am, today, and with the knowledge of life skills. So most of us are aware of all these skills
Yes.
basically, but what is important is, as you rightly said, reiterating these facts. These facts are not that we are not aware of,
Not aware,
but
yeah.
yes, these facts are something that needs to be harped upon every now and then if we want to grow in life. We tend to get busy with life and feel, no, ab to ho gaya hai, we are here, now what next?
What next?
So don't get satisfied with yourself at any point of time. Start exploring more. So the
Yeah.
session was all about that. So in the chat box we have the link and the feedback for you. Kindly fill that. And for you, ma'am, we have a small token of appreciation from my team. I'm sorry, yes. Thank you so much, ma'am,
And,
for the session today.
pleasure being part of this, and I hope I mean teachers would just rethink on those things and work a little more on that.
Yeah.
So that's all, huh? So thank you for having me here. And
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Type it in the chat box. Find it there.
I think, Rahul, we can stop the recording.